Hi, this is Brandon Yeltz from the implementation team. Today we'll be talking about contract pricing within SalesPad. So contract pricing, if I actually open our documentation, we have an order in which pricing is applied in SalesPad document. So if we look at the first type of pricing in which it's applied in SalesPad, you'll see that contract pricing is the highest on this list. So what contract pricing allows you to do is set up a contract for a specific customer with a set price for one item, or it can be for multiple items for specific quantities and a date range as well. And so our contract pricing module allows you to keep track of the quantity for each specific item on that contract the customer's bought until that contract has been reached. So if I pull up SalesPad here and I go to our security editor, you'll notice that if I filter down to customer contract, click on that, you'll see that we do have some security settings around customer contract pricing. So really it's the ability to add contracts, to delete contracts, and to edit contracts as well. So that's all the security around contract pricing within SalesPad. There are also a few settings around contract pricing. So if I go to my admin menu and click settings, and then you can actually just filter down to contract, and you'll see the different types of settings that we actually have around our contract pricing. It's just going to be these top four here. So if I want to actually set up a customer contract, this will all be done from the customer card itself. So if I filter for a customer in my system and click on that customer, you'll notice down below I have a tab on my customer card called Contract Pricing. If I click on that tab, you'll see that we have two different sections to this tab. The first section is the Customer Contract section. And so this is where we are defining the contracts that exist for this customer. So if I want to add a brand new contract, I can click the Add Contracts button, and that's going to pull up this new customer contract screen here. So if I click the contract type drop down here, you'll notice that we have two different types of contracts. The first one I'm going to choose is the group contract. So I'll choose group there, and then in the description you can type in what you want to name your contract. Contract quantity is the total quantity that you want for that contract. So in my scenario, I can do 100. What the purchase quantity field would be used for is if they've already purchased a quantity towards your contract already. So in my scenario, my customer has not. And then you also have begin date and end date. So if you wanted this contract to expire on a certain date, that's what this would be used for. The use shipping weight checkbox, what that can be used for is it'll actually take your quantity that you have on the line and multiply it by the item's shipping weight, and that'll calculate the purchase quantity. Once I'm good with this setup, I can click the OK button. And so now we can see my test group contract has been set up. So now with that contract itself, we have to define the pricing and the items that go along with that contract. So on the right side, we have my contract details. So if I click the Add button, now we can choose what items are going to belong to that contract. And so you can just free type in an item number, or you can click the ellipsis to the right there, and that'll pull up the inventory lookup screen. And so you could do a contract based on different unit of measures as well if you wanted to. Once I'm done, I can hit OK. And you can add as many items to you want for a group contract. The thing to keep in mind is once you've purchased towards the contract quantity, or in my case 100, that the pricing for all items will go back to the item's standard pricing. So you could have 100 different items on here, but as long as you don't reach that contract quantity of 100, they'll all get that contract price. But once you hit that contract quantity of 100, it'll go back to its normal price. So now, if I'm ready to see this contract price in action, I'm going to start a new order here. And I'm going to click New. And when I type in my item, HD40, you'll see that it'll pull in my price of $32. So that's the group contract price. Now there is one other type of contract in contract pricing. So I'm going to exit out of this order here. And if I go to add contracts and I click contract type, we have a detail one as well. So the detailed contract is more item specific. In this one, you're not actually defining a contract quantity and purchase quantity for the entire contract. It's more item specific. So same thing, you can define a begin and end date here as well. So I hit OK. I have another contract in here. And under pricing, I'd hit the add button. And so when you're actually setting up an item in here, this is where you're defining the contract quantity and purchase quantity for that specific item. So I can type in my A100 there. And I'm going to do another item here, 100 XLG. And so what that's saying is for my detailed contract, I can purchase any combination of A100, but once I've purchased more than 10, I'll no longer get this contract price at $23. Same thing for the 100 XLG. I can purchase up to a quantity of 15, but once I've purchased over 15, I'll no longer get that price of $43. So now when I start a new order, type in A100, and you'll see I get that price of $23. Now if I go over my contract quantity, so let's say for my A100, I think I said if I go back here, I can purchase a quantity of 10. So if I go over that, so let's say I do a quantity of 12, and I tab off, you're going to get this box that pops up and says only 10 of the line's 12 quantity can be used for that contract. And it asks if you want to create a new line with the overflow. And so if I say yes on that, it's going to separate or break out this A100 into two lines, because my quantity of 10 I'm going to get for that price of 23. My quantity of 2, since I went a quantity of 2 over my contract quantity, it's going to go back to my item's normal price. So now if I actually go back to my customer card itself, we can see that if I do a refresh here that my purchase quantities are getting updated. My quantity remaining is being updated as well, but then there's also an audit around here that it will tell the user who added that item to an order or an invoice for my scenario, the dates that it was added, the document that it was added on. And there's also a sales lines tab where you can see, okay, for this contract, this is the order that item was used on. So same thing, if I'm highlighting between different contracts here, it's going to give me that information. And that's it for our contract pricing video. Thanks for watching.